I am having dinner, but I need you to see this.
Thing, can we just say the R word for the saying, what they do to these kids, the R-ing of them.
Listen to the part about sinners.
Because we don't want videos down. All right, so the next question is, why are these guys so brazen as to take pictures with kids like this guy on the screen?
Because they know they're going away with it. Because they know it's not, a crime to do that to a child. It's standard Vatican policy to protect, people who rape children.
Hold on. It's the Vatican policy. The man went to Christian, some kind of St. Michael's school. So what was his position on harming women and children? Or any of them, for that matter.
That they would then put in somebody of the same milieu to try to keep the lid on things, President Pope at the St. Augustine College, where this guy got a seminary theology degree. They both worked out of the same college for a while, and they were friends. We know that from the people in Chile. They documented this. And I should add about the Chileans, the reason that Bergoglio was very concerned about protecting this new guy is because back, I don't know if you remember this, in 2017, Bergoglio went to Chile, and 22 Catholic churches were burned down just before his arrival by the Mapuche Indians, because the Mapuche Indians' children were being trafficked by guys like this William Off and protected by the church. And they burned down the churches because that's where the children were being trafficked out of, and where the landing worked, that the church would go in, like we talked about, and grab all the indigenous land, get the resources for China. Well, when Bergoglio, Pope Francis, went to Santiago, Chile, he couldn't get out of the diocesan palace because he was besieged by thousands of demonstrators who wouldn't let him out. The whole place was in an uproar about his visit. So I just think it's not accidental that they would then put in somebody out of the same milieu to try to keep the lid on things, and to make Americans think, and this is the whole other piece, Americans now think, oh, first American Pope, I guess we have more of an interest now in the Vatican. Well, that certainly serves the Vatican's interest. If they want to get America on board, I think shift towards China. It's a subtle psychological technique to dampen the criticism of the Vatican, just as they're, channeling things to Beijing.
Okay, we're getting close to the threshold of using certain words, Kevin, and
hold on, it's coming. Just wait.
So from now on,
but wait,
instead of saying trafficking, we say transporting.
I went back too far.
The R
Sorry,
thing, can we just say the R word?
I'm having dinner.
What they do to these kids, the R-ing of them. Because we don't want YouTube to shut the videos down. All right, so the next question is, why are these guys so brazen as to take pictures with kids like this guy on the screen?
Because they know they're going away with it. Because they know it's not, a crime to do that to a child. It's standard Vatican policy to protect, people who rape children, violate children. So it's not unusual. It doesn't surprise me at all that a picture of kids like that would appear. What's significant is the fact that he's tied now. We've already got strong evidence out there quickly that this present Pope is tied into these networks. And, with the present or the previous figurehead Bergoglio, right?
So a lot of people are asking about Trump, right, and what role, if any, has Donald Trump played in the election of this new Pope?
Well, if you remember a few weeks back, Trump dressed up like the Pope on his little site and pretended that he wanted to be the Pope, being the usual kind of dumbass remark. But he was backing a guy called Timothy Dolan. He wanted an American Pope, and he said that all along. Timothy Dolan is a cardinal closely tied with Trump in the national banking stuff. So that's one of the reasons Trump wanted him in. He does not like this guy because he wasn't in his immediate little sphere of control. But when you think about it, it helps him in his whole relationship with the Vatican, because now he probably thinks he has more leverage having an apparent American into that position of authority. And I mean, it's always a question of Trump has never done anything that doesn't profit him personally. Like for example, the private prison network that's expanding now, because his Attorney General Pam Bondi is a former lobbyist for the private prison corporation. A lot of the people apparently being deported are in fact going into these private prisons. Trump International is in trouble financially, and he needs the resources of the Vatican Bank. So naturally, he wants an American in there. I mean, it often boils down just to that.
So you're being asked whether the age of consent in Vatican City is 12.
There is no age of consent because time and again, cardinals and popes have made the remark that, doing that, having sex, a child is not a crime, it's a sin. So they don't consider the violation of children and any of that. Even the Mauritania Act against children would be crimes. People apparently being deported or in fact going into these private prisons. Trump International is in trouble.
The movie is called Sinners, not Criminals.
In the Vatican Bank. So naturally, once an American, I mean, it often boils down just to that.
So you're being asked whether the age of consent in Vatican City is 12.
There is no age of consent because time and again, cardinals and popes have made the remark that, doing that, having sex, a child is not a crime, it's a sin. So they don't consider the violation of children and any of that stuff, even the Mauritania Act against children, to be crimes. Children are born evil.
You hear that shit?
In their doctrine. And the original sin doctrine. So it's like, you see, the mentality doesn't change over the centuries. In ancient Roman culture, women and children were not people. They didn't have personality.
No
they
way.
Were things, appendages of men. And it hasn't changed. You